Welcome back, Super Friends. What's the hubbub? Superman has done enough from good reviews, and the first 10 days that we are going to see more DCU projects into production. Also, the first Fantastic Four reviews are making their way in. DC and superhero fans' difference with Snyderbros is we want the genre to do well. We aren't boycotting Fantastic Four. A better genre is better for DCU also. Based on trailers and media, I was thinking it may be a mid-movie, but solid review start, and I'll be checking it in theaters. Hopefully, it will be good. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comments down below. By the way, Superman in 10 days officially reached over 400 million worldwide.
Look at what's happened. In just 10 days, the box office of Superman has already passed 4 of the last 5 DCEU movies that came out in just 10 days. And it's already passed the last MCU movie. And in the next 3 to 4 days, it'll pass all 5 of the previous 5 DCEU movies and pass both of the last MCU movies. Listen to this. At making $407 million, Superman has already passed the entire worldwide theatrical box office of Flash that made $271 million. It passed the all-time worldwide box office of Beetle at $131 million, of Shazam 2 of $134. It already passed One Black Adam, already made more in 10 days than Black Adam with the new hierarchy of power in the DCEU did in its entire worldwide theatrical run at $393 million. It's already made more than the last MCU movie, Thunderbolts, that made $382, and I love that movie. But in yellow there, I got 2 movies that it hasn't passed yet, but it will pass them before the next weekend. It's about to pass. It's passing Captain America 4 that made $415 million, and it's passing Aquaman 2 that made $440 million. Look, I know people get a little bit frustrated when I make sports analogies, but allow me to make one here. When you have a team that has 5 years straight failed to come in last place, 5 years straight comes in last place in the league, and then finally the owner goes, enough, we got to make some big changes. And they bring in a brand new coach, brand new staff, they rebuild some of the team a little bit, and in the very next year, that team makes the playoffs, like not necessarily wins the championship, but the next year, after 5 years of finishing in dead last, in their first outing, they make the playoffs. That coach wins Coach of the Year, every sport, anywhere under that scenario. This is the garbage that Superman is coming out from under. I always need to remind my fellow film fans about exactly the context in which Superman was coming out. Superman was coming out when a sequel to a billion-dollar film in Aquaman couldn't make $450 million. Superman is coming out in a context where a cinematic universe put out a movie that had been announced for 7 years, had one of the biggest box office credible stars in the world with The Rock. They even announced Henry Cavill's coming back as Superman. My boy, Henry. All that kind of stuff. That movie couldn't even make $400 million. And then, while nobody expected Blue Beetle to be a $700 million movie, they certainly expected it to make more than 131. By the way, that movie's pretty good. Shazam 2 made 134. And then the 10 years in the making Flash film could only manage to make $271 million. This is the context that Superman was coming out of the absolutely devastated landscape of a now completely destroyed and a completely run into the ground DCU that clearly everybody had given up on. And in their first movie out, their first film out, in just 10 days, beat all of them.
In perspective, even with how USA is seen by China and other nations overseas holding back international numbers, it's accomplished this. A certified, fresh 92% audience approval rating and 83% critical acclaim. Superman reached a 4-star rating. CinemaScore grade A-, which is matching The Batman and the fastest film to reach 1 million views on Letterboxd. The Snyderbros are busy moving their argument now. After some wild flop prediction takes, they didn't see it hitting the 100 million domestic opening, and it ended up pulling in 125 million. Now it's over the 400 million mark worldwide. Just got an update this morning. It moved past 416 million. That puts it past the last 2 Marvel movies' full run. It also moves it past the DCEU last movies to start the DC brand rehabilitation. Anything already in production before Gunn was brought on is still within the old regime under DCEU umbrella. This will give Gunn a runway to at least get his chance at Batman and a Justice League movie, which means we're looking at 6 or 7 years plus of DCU projects, no matter the box office. Once in production and filming, these are going to come out no matter what. Then you have the marketing and release date period. Snyderbros would be smart to change their hashtags, asking Gunn to do Elseworld Snyder movies within the DCU, because there is zero chance if Gunn fails after 6 or 7 years, they'd go back to Snyder and his aged-out actors. You'll be adding 2-3 years just to make the movies. A decade for your restore, then. Amy Adams and Ben Affleck would be in their 60s. It is just not going to work. On Fantastic Four, it's off to a solid review start. Yes, Rotten Tomatoes does carry some weight. It is an aggregate of overall reviews. I tend to end up liking well-received movies more. I think off of Superman as a lead-in, it's likely their last tracking report is lower than what it will do. If you want a prediction with excitement in genre again, what if domestic opens to over 135 million? Hopefully we see a comeback for the genre between Superman and Fantastic Four. Yes, I am willing to predict Fantastic Four having a larger opening than Superman. We actually need the momentum of it being good and doing well. It's funny, we will see simple-minded boycott monkeys rooting for it as a way to hurt Superman. They don't realize it's a situation where Marvel doing well helps the goodwill of genre and ultimately the DCU doing better. The DC and superhero fan difference with Snyderbros is we want the genre to do well. We aren't boycotting Fantastic Four.
And there's no Snyderverse, no money. I mean, you guys literally is giving up seeing Darkseid on the big screen in the movie theater. Superman and Darkseid to baby Joey. Joey, is that his name? You want baby Joey's universe instead of Darkseid universe?
Woohoo!
Make it make sense.
Better genre is better for DCU future as well. Superman has given the WB enough confidence. We are going to see some huge production announcements moving forward. It was never about one movie making $1 billion. It was about getting interest back, good reviews, solid opening. The DCU era is locked up for a while now. I'm not saying you had to have liked Superman. The reality is, though, the majority reviews and openings spoke. It crossed a barrier to give Gunn a runway instead of a halt to taking off. I know you Snyderbros are mad and looking for how it lost, but it's just not the flop you wanted it to be. You had this picture in your head of it somehow opening to less than The Flash and that the DCU was being shut down. That didn't happen. The distance is as far as can be from a Snyderverse return. Now we are paving the way for a bright DCU future, which would be, well, fantastic. I can't guarantee every film will be a hit, but with the Superman launch doing what it needed, it has solidified Gunn building out a universe. They will make sure he gets his chance at bringing Batman in and creating a new Justice League movie at some point. They are investing lots of years into it now. The Snyderverse replacing Gunn will never happen. I suggest you try to work within the DCU to ever see Snyder involved again, because other than working with Gunn, we will never see Snyder restoring his DCEU. Bury it, as always. Look up, not back. Eyes to the skies. As no Snyderverse is no problem.